I've mentioned on this show many times, I mean, I really have, that this year in the NFL has kind of been somewhat of an anomaly, or I've used the word weird several times. Well, just when I thought things couldn't get any more weird, it did. We are now seeing a 44-year-old grandfather get off his couch and join the NFL once again. I am talking about none other than Philip Rivers. It's like the NFL is getting older now. I mean, we have Aaron Rodgers still starting quarterback, and now Philip Rivers is back. I'm going to wake up next week to news that Tom Brady is also coming out of retirement, I'm sure. Leave it to Tom to probably one up the rest of the crew. But Philip Rivers is back in the NFL, and it is big news that we need to talk about, amongst other things. I'm your host, Matthew Reardon, and this is the Snap Count Show. What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another installment of the Snap Count Show, where I'm your host, Matthew Reardon, and with me today is none other than Ed Smith.
Go Pack, go!
And Thaddeus Lloyd.
Ew.
Well, guys, I mean, I say more? I mean, how many of you had it on your bingo card that Philip Rivers was going to be back in the NFL this year? I know it wasn't on mine, but when I saw the news, shocked, yes, but not really fully surprised, because I know that Philip Rivers has talked about it before briefly. And I mean, it's the Colts, the team that he was with last. And interesting enough, in the way that this worked out, if you guys don't remember, he did sign a contract with the Chargers to retire with them earlier this year. The funny part about it is they didn't have a roster spot, so he technically was never on the roster when he did sign that contract. That was one of the only ways that he was able to join the Colts this year. So if you didn't realize that, it's weird how it all works. If you remember when Gronkowski came out of retirement, he had to be traded from the New England Patriots to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to join Tom Brady and that juggernaut, that Tampa Bay Buccaneers that won the Super Bowl that year. So, Ed, I mean, you probably didn't see this coming by a mile, right?
No, not really. I think the ship had finally sailed on him. So it was like, okay, go right off into the sunset, go coach some high school football, which that's what he's been doing. Yes, he had talked about, Rivers had talked about coming back for a couple of years, saying that he's keeping his body in good shape and ready to come in, if anybody needs him off the cuff. And lo and behold, we didn't think it was going to be the year that he was going to be voted on for the Hall of Fame, because that's what he was up for after this season. We're talking to a guy that has loved the game so much that he is willing to pull out of getting his Hall of Fame bust put in Canton so he can try and help a team get back into the playoffs, which, by the way, he was the quarterback the last time that they went to the playoffs at an 11-5 record. So he knows he knows Indianapolis. He knows several of the coaches and that are on staff there. So it's not like he's going to be walking into a blind situation. He knows what he's doing there. But the interesting point as far as roster spots are concerned is that they signed him to the practice squad. I haven't seen him be officially put into a roster slot at this point. Maybe you guys have seen something that I haven't, but until he actually makes it past the practice squad, he's still eligible for the Hall of Fame next year. We'll see if he gets put on the roster, because that will force his clock to start over.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm glad that you brought that up because that is big, but it shows the kind of guy that he is, very unselfish. He's here to help the Colts out in any which way that they need. And he knows how to run their offense. He ran it for many years. But here's the thing, it wasn't many years ago that was the last time he ran it. He runs it currently at the high school that he coaches for football. So he's already used to it. And Shane Steichen, I mean, the connection has already been there for many years. So it's it's honestly probably a blessing in disguise for him just be able to go there and he knows everything like it's the back of his hand. So more power to him to make this move. We'll actually see if he does make the active roster and if he does start for them, especially this Sunday against the Seahawks. But that is a fun fact that I also saw that I know that you'll enjoy because one of your coaches is part of it, is Philip Rivers is older than 13, I want to say, head coaches in the NFL right now, including interim coaches, and one of them being which your head coach, Kyle Shanahan. So that's how old Philip Rivers is. But I mean, do you think at this age he could still do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard not to be biased because when I started watching the NFL, he was my favorite player to watch. He was always, dadgummit everywhere and just chucking that ball to Antonio Gates, Malcolm Floyd, all those, fun Chargers receivers back in the past. It was just such fun to watch. Yeah, he had a lot of boneheaded, plays, but he was just such a fun guy to watch football and on and off the field. He's a great personality. Some people were talking about him and Jameis Winston being in the same booth. That would be the best thing the NFL has ever done, probably. But as far as like age, yeah, well, he is getting up there. He's 44. He just turned 44 this past week. Obviously, he's a grandfather, the first grandfather in the NFL since Brett Favre. So he's getting up there in age, but he, did have one of the stronger arms in the NFL when he was playing. It was a bit shot when he was in Indianapolis, but he didn't have a bad year. And obviously, he's always been a statue in the pocket. He's never been an athletic quarterback ever, but he knows the game really, really well. And that's like the one thing you can tip your hat. It's really sad. A lot of people are saying it's really sad when you'd rather take a 44-year-old Philip Rivers over any of these younger quarterbacks. So it's just kind of like a sign of the times where teams are hurrying on quarterbacks or rushing them in and they just can't develop properly. So that was another thing. But one fun fact for me about his age was the fact that he was teammates with Doug Flutie. And now Doug Flutie was, for those who don't know, was in the NFL. Basically, he spent a couple years in the CFL, but he was basically in the NFL from 1986 to 2005. All right, so he was teammates with a quarterback from over 40 years ago. All right, so that just goes to show how old he is. I mean, we've had the only older quarterback we've seen in recent times was Tom Brady playing his last year at 45 years old. All right. Now, the record for the oldest player in NFL history was, I had
George,
his name.
George Blanda.
George Blanda, yeah, because he used to be a quarterback. Then he went to kicker, but then they asked him to play one game at 51 years old as a quarterback. So I don't know if that record's ever going to be
Mhm.
beaten. And those guys lived on alcohol and cigarettes. We'll never get that again. Uh, but yeah, it's just a really, if nothing, it's just a fun story, right? If Philip Rivers can bring the Colts to the playoffs, that's awesome. That's a really great story. If he doesn't, it'll be a fun story, and the Colts will go out in flames, basically.
I think one of the final points here before we get into the next topic uh, is a number that stands out to me is 240, and that is the amount of consecutive games Philip Rivers at one point in his career played as a quarterback. And that's second, none other to Brett Favre, who you have already mentioned before, Thaddeus. So the fact that they signed Phillip Rivers and you hear that number 240 consecutive starts at an NFL quarterback that is a very physical position, and the amount of times he's been sacked is a lot. It just shows you how tough he is. And I know that there are people out there that are salty and upset, such as Cam Newton, okay? But you can count on Phillip Rivers. He's Mr. Reliable, okay? So there's a reason why they went with it. But it's also a no-brainer to me. He ran the Colts offense. He knows the Colts offense. He has many years relationships with the head coach. So I just feel like, to me, it was a no-brainer, and it just shows you his body of work and why they felt comfortable with the signing.
Yeah.
On the other part,
yeah.
What I would say is, what's a quarterback's best friend? It's a running game. Guess what the Colts have?
Yeah.
They have a running game. And the biggest question in my mind about Phillip Rivers playing this position is he going to be Phillip Rivers, or is he going to be end of his career Peyton Manning, seeing the guy 30 yards down the field but only able to throw it 18? I mean, that was a issue with Peyton when he was ending his time in Denver, is he could barely throw, but he was so smart, he knew how to get the ball where it needed to go, even though it wasn't as far down the field as what was necessary. The Colts wide receiving core, I think, needs to step up in this situation, because with this being the case, Jonathan Taylor's going to have 9, maybe 10 guys in the box just looking at him, just going, come on, let me see it. And they're going to force whoever it is at quarterback, because Riley Leonard's hurt after that game. You got Phillip Rivers coming from the practice squad. Maybe he makes it. I mean, who else is going to be taking snaps? I mean, that is who you want to try and beat you if you're a defense going against them at this point. So that's kind of where I'm thinking, it doesn't matter who the quarterback for the Colts is at this point. It's a great story having Phillip Rivers, but it doesn't matter because everybody's going to be so cued in on Jonathan Taylor that it's going to take a heroic effort from the quarterback position to have them be successful.
Ed, really quick, because I'm totally drawing a blank right now. What's going on? Where's Anthony Richardson?
He's been on IR for most of the season, and even when he's not on IR, he's still in rehab and kind of taking a roster spot without taking a roster spot. It's one of those weird gray area things as far as roster manipulation is concerned in the league. But Anthony Richardson is not ready to play at this point, so there's no way that he could actually be geared up to come in and take snaps.
And slight correction, he's been on IR pretty much most of his career. It seems like. So. Yeah, but Phillip Rivers, 44 years old, just turned 44 on Monday, grandfather. Congrats, man. I mean, I hope that this does work out for you. I'm going to be pulling for you. I feel like who's not going to be pulling for him? So it's a great story, and I look forward to seeing it, and I do hope he makes the roster. But like you said, I don't see why he doesn't. There's literally no one. You're going to have Jonathan Taylor be like Christian McCaffrey in the playoff game, play running back and quarterback. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to work out well. So this Sunday, I mean, we're going to find out probably an answer here the next day if he is on the active roster, because they probably have to make those calls before it's too late.
Yeah, well, and the Seahawks have said, Mike McDonald has said they're preparing like they're going to face him, not Riley Leonard. So if that gives you any idea.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious, but until the roster move is actually made, it's right now it's just what if. But on to our next topic, the NFL. Right now, we're witnessing a crisis. Sound the alarms, possibly. There are a few teams right now that I think are having a huge identity crisis, and we're witnessing it right now. And some of the teams I'm going to say may sound obvious, but the first one is easy peasy. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs look lost out there. You really don't know what's going on. And it's almost kind of embarrassing. But at the same time, if you've been watching football, maybe it is obvious to you as to why they're having this identity crisis. They just really aren't that good anymore. And yes, dynasties have to end, but it just doesn't look even competitive anymore. I mean, even when Tom Brady was winding down with the Patriots, it was still the Patriots. You still had to fear them. But with Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes is an all-time great. He'll be a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. We we just don't know what version we're going to get. And it's just I feel like they have a huge identity crisis and they don't really know how to fix it. I think to them it's, well, we got Travis Kelce still. That's not going to fix it. So, Ed, to you, what do you think is the biggest reason they're having this identity crisis for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I think somebody greased all the wide receivers' hands more than anything else. Because you take a look at what happened even this past week against the Texans. Kelsey drop pass leads to an interception. There were, what was it, 9 drop passes in that game against the Texans, and you you're talking about a team that would then give the Texans a better shot of playing defense. That's not a good recipe. That's not a good look for you. When you're looking at their the running back room, it's been running back, by committee. I mean, you've got Brashard Smith, taking carries. You've got Mahomes, the second leading rusher of the Kansas City Chiefs this year. Uh, and that's with Isaiah Pacheco coming in and out, Kareem Hunt coming in and out. There's really no continuity as far as the run game, which then opens up the pass game, which uh, in Andy Reid's system, it's kind of reverse of that. It's the pass game that opens up the run game, but it's very complementary. And there's no complement on the running side to then have the receivers uh, get really open, but then the receivers don't even catch the ball when it gets thrown to them. That's just been uh, a folly of errors when it comes to that offense. The scheme is there. The scheme has always been there. It's just the execution at this point. And is it age a little bit on Travis Kelsey's part? Is it the distraction of the different things that are going on in the different players' lives, like Rasheed Rice's car wreck situation from a while back? Kelsey's, private life being made public at all times at this point. Uh, Patrick Mahomes' life is public knowledge at this point. I mean, there's so many other distractions when you have been at the top for so long. It's hard to maintain that, but they're not doing themselves any favor whatsoever.
Yeah, and Thaddeus, uh, you can't really knock Patrick Mahomes. That's the thing is that, and I know a lot of people love to hate him, but Patrick Mahomes is doing the very best that he can. If you watch, there was a recent interview that Tom Brady had and to build the perfect quarterback, and he said Mahomes is by far the best quarterback he's seen go through his progressions. And we've all seen that. If you're a football fan, Patrick Mahomes knows how to go through his progressions, second to none. But he's not getting much help. The offensive line isn't doing that good with him. He's not having much time to do it. And then, like Ed alluded to, the receivers aren't helping. So, I mean, you have to give Patrick Mahomes credit to what he's doing, right, Thaddeus?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, I found a really good point. I was watching Nick Wright the other day, and he basically pointed out this really feels like the late 2000s Patriots, all right? Tom Brady won his first 3 Super Bowls being that game manager, winning the games with defense on a run game. But then in the late 2000s, when he got a bunch of weapons, this offense was incredible. They were putting up a bunch of points, but they didn't win a single Super Bowl. So I just think it's really interesting how that dynamic works. And like you said, it's the receivers having drops. It's all the other stars not having great games. Now, actually, Patrick Mahomes did not have a great game statistically. It was one of his worst games, actually. But you see him out there, and he passes the eye test. But it's all these receivers dropping passes. In the Texans game, Butker misses a field goal. That's not good. Like he could have tied the game, I think, or at least taken the lead at that time. And then Andy Reid, is just not as sharp. Going on that fourth down on his own side of the field, thinking they can get it, and don't try that against the Texans defense. So the only one who was actually, who was doing decent was Chris Jones, who's been criticized this past year for not trying enough. So it's the Chiefs are going through a phase right now, which they might not reach a Super Bowl, for at least 1 or 2 more years. Obviously, you got Patrick Mahomes, but once that quarterback starts, taking a large chunk of an organization's money, that's when things start to fall apart. Even if you are Patrick Mahomes, you got to have a competent team around you, and it's just not going to work if you don't have that.
Yeah, and that brings me to the second team that I think is having an identity crisis right now. And that's the Baltimore Ravens. I sat here on this show week one or even preseason, and I said the Ravens are going to be the best team in the NFL. They are not, and they are not even close to being the best team in the NFL. And I was talking with a Ravens fan the other day before my Steelers played the Ravens, and he said, I know that you guys are going crazy as fans because of Tomlin and what's the direction you guys are doing. But I think that, believe it or not, I think that the Ravens have it worse because the Ravens do have the players, but they are not producing. And I think the fans there are getting really impatient because this was a team that was built to succeed. They were hoping that they had all their chips in on both offensive side and defensive side that they were going to be the team to beat, and they aren't. So that's why they are my second team in this identity crisis issue. And that is the Ravens last year picked up Derrick Henry, and that was probably the best or the second best free agent pickup. Why is he not doing good this year? I mean, are teams onto him?
It's not giving him enough carries, honestly. He's had, in a lot of their losses, he's had less than 12 carries. If you have Derrick Henry, I know he's on the other side of 30 and he's an older running back. He's still really, really good. He's still a top 10 back in this league, surprisingly. You have to give him 20 carries minimum every game. And it feels like a lot of the time, like the quote unquote Lamar haters would say, they're just making Lamar pass to make him seem like a pocket passer. We know he's a good passer already. You don't have to prove it to us that he's a good passer. Just give the ball to Derrick Henry and let him throw off of Derrick Henry running. So it's just been bad offensive philosophy from the Ravens on the offensive side of the ball. And obviously, we've said Lamar hasn't been good. He had that one really good game against the Dolphins, and that's pretty much been it since then. And you could say it was injury, but he been healed by now, basically. I mean, before this season, he was one of the most winning quarterbacks in league history. So maybe he's finally, fallen off a little bit. Who knows? But at least that's the offensive side. And then the defensive side, it's just they had a lot of injuries. They picked up, I think Darius Slay, or they picked up an old corner who
Jair
nobody really
Alexander.
wanted. Yeah, Jair Alexander, and he's not been good at all for him. And we kind of seen Zachary Orr just not as good as Mike McDonald on a defensive coordinator level. So the defense has suffered a lot as well. So it's just a whole team thing combining, and that's why people are starting to say John Harbaugh's seat's getting a little warm.
Well, Ed, I'm going to just go to the next team really quick just because time wise. But my third and final team, and I know I may get heat for this because they are leading their division and they're the number 3 seed in the NFC. But I'm going to have to say the Philadelphia Eagles. The way that they have drama happening in their locker room and they just aren't performing on Sundays. And we saw that though this last week, although it was Monday. There should be panic in Philadelphia. Do you think so?
Not necessarily panic, because they could sleepwalk through the NFC East this year. Because when you're talking the Giants, the Commanders, and the Cowboys to some extent, which uh, they're just about done for the season. Uh, winning a division and getting the playoffs is, you know, shouldn't be quote good enough for a team that is coming off of a Super Bowl win, but it seems to be that way for Philadelphia this year. They can't figure out what they want to be. Do they want to be the team that gives the ball to Saquon Barkley 20 to 30 touches a game, whether it be rushing or receiving? Are they the team that wants to air it out down the center of the field with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? Are they the team that wants to get the ball out to Selleck? Are they the team that wants to run design quarterback power with Jalen Hurts? Who are these guys? I can't figure out what that offense is this year. Last year, they had it figured out, and it was through Saquon Barkley, and that was the end of it. Everything else ran off of that, and they torched this league the entire season. This year, it feels like almost forced that they're trying to put the game plan, they're trying to put the offense through Jalen Hurts, and it's just not the same dynamic result, because they then, when Jalen Hurts is not at peak performance, whether it be misreads, misthrows, being rushed in the pocket, anything outside of the tush push, they don't know what to do at that point. It's almost like they're panicking on offense because they don't have a design identity or design play that their identity is based on. And that just seems very odd for a team that is coming off of such domination in the Super Bowl from last year.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I have them as, an identity crisis team, because I don't think they know really what their identity is, although it should be pretty obvious because they succeeded with it last year. But essentially this year they're JMUing themselves into the into the playoffs. So
the one fun statistic is, there was a whole controversy with AJ Brown. He's had 3 games in a row with over 100 receiving yards. They've lost them all. Is it the first time where we've had a receiver get the ball, but they lose because he gets the ball?
I mean, I'm sure.
Dez.
Yeah, Dez Bryant. I mean,
Dez Bryant. There's a good one there.
Yeah. So I mean, shoot, even Miami, even when they had Tua and Jalen Waddle, they weren't always winning either. So, all right, on to these games here, because the 3 games we're going to preview today is going to be like Mike Tyson knockouts. And essentially, if one of these teams wins, the other team is knocked out of the playoffs for good. So the first game we have to talk about, and this will probably be the most interesting one, is the Los Angeles Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs. We've just been talking about the Chiefs and where they sit as a franchise right now and how they are in a bit of an identity crisis. Are they going to let their division rival Chargers put the final nail in the coffin and knock them out of the playoffs? This dynasty that has not missed the playoffs in many years. Ed, do the Chargers get it done? And did you see anything from this last Monday night game that could really show that the Chargers are for real?
For me, it's the resiliency of who the Chargers are. And this is a complete reflection of Jim Harbaugh, because it is all about limit what the other team is doing, but take advantage of what opportunities that you have. It's not go, 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 go. It's not stop, 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 stop. It is a good marriage between the two. Now, with Justin Herbert having the broken left hand and having to hand off with his right, no matter if he which way he turns out of the pocket, that becomes concerning to me for an offense that wants to establish the run first. But you do have a quarterback that is accurate with the football, can play even with a terrible offensive line, which he's been doing since he got into the league, uh, and a team in which, on the defensive side, they are not going to break. They're really not. They right now they are sitting number seventh in the league as far as opponents' points per game at less than 20. Well, we all know the Chiefs are trying to just outscore everybody at this point, and I don't think the Chargers are going to let it get out that way. So it is going to be a tighter ball game. Lad McConkey is going to be out there. You've got some weapons to work with if you're Justin Herbert. Is it going to be enough? Are they going to be able to cross that 20-point threshold that their defense is not going to let Kansas City get across? That is the big concern here, and I'm of the opinion that I think they do. I think they are going to get to Patrick Mahomes enough and maybe pick him off a couple of times. That way, they are starting in shorter field positions. They are limiting the Chiefs in what they do, and that is the name of the game when it comes to Jim Harbaugh's teams: is limit the other team, take advantage of what you have, and then go move on from there. Win or lose, that's how they play the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And David, appreciate you making it still.
I am alive. Just wanted to confirm I am alive.
I appreciate it. Well, I urge you to stay alive. Please do not be distracted while driving. So, um, for me in this game, I'm just gonna go off the bat. I'm definitely going Chargers, and the reason why, and I know you guys are gonna laugh at this, is I saw a different side of Justin Herbert this last game that actually really impressed me. As you know, I'm an Oregon Ducks fan. I've followed Justin Herbert for a while now. And watching his growth in the NFL is something I've really looked forward to. What he did last week, one during the game and one after the game, is really what got me excited for him because I think it's going to take him to the next level. When the game really needed to matter and it was on the line, I'm sure you guys heard, it was supposed to be a handoff. He kept the ball. He saw it, and even with the broken hand, and he was their leading rusher, by the way, he took the chance and knew that he needed to get them within field goal range. And seeing that from your quarterback who has a broken hand shows a lot. And I really respect that in his game. And then secondly, and this is I know funny, but it does mean something, is after the game, if you guys saw the viral interview that he had where he was pretty much shooing off the interviewer as she was trying to do her job. And he said, I'm just trying to celebrate with my teammates. You're seeing a different side of Justin Herbert that you're not used to seeing because, this is Mr. Sunshine here that, he's always been a stand-up guy and he is regardless. But I think you're kind of unlocking a different ability to him that's really going to help his game. And Jim Harbaugh's the guy for it. So give me the Chargers to actually do this. Side note, they did beat the Chiefs earlier this year, even though it was in Brazil. They're going to go to Kansas City, and they're going to go on their turf, and they're going to put the final nail in the coffin. Score, I'll give you a weird one, 25-19. David, since you're with us really quick, you got a prediction for the Chargers and Chiefs?
I'm going to. My heart says to pick the Chargers, but at the same time, for as bad as Kansas City has been, by their standards, I think they're gonna turn it around. So I'm gonna take the Chiefs over the Chargers, 25-17.
All right, Thaddeus.
Yeah, it's a tough one, honestly. Yeah, I'm gonna. I mean, it was crazy how well Herbert played against the Eagles with his broken hand. He rushed for over 50 yards against the Eagles, which was incredible. Um, but I really, yeah, I have to take the Chiefs here. I can't shake the Chiefs yet because they've just been so dominant these past couple years. I can't not take them. So give me the Chiefs in this one, 20-13.
Yeah. I mean, I can see why going for the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have had the Chargers numbers over the years. So, I mean, that is, something to note. But I just think the Chargers are at a different place right now where they do have their identity, where the Chiefs right now don't. But, I mean, we'll see come Sunday. Uh, Game number two, where knockout can happen, and that is the Ravens at the Bengals. I know the Bengals' chances have been very slim, and the loss this last week really, really hurt their chances. But these teams just played a couple weeks ago, and it was Joe Burrow's first game back, and it looked like he didn't skip a beat. It looked like he continued to do Joe Burrow things besides getting hurt, and he made the Ravens look bad. But then again, a lot of the teams have this year. But the Ravens are the ones that are technically in the driver's seat, as they could knock the Bengals out of the playoffs, but the Bengals could also play spoiler in this game. And the reason why this game is going to get talked about probably a lot is due to the recent uh, uh, press conference that Joe Burrow had and the comments he made about the game. And some of those comments might have been stretched out a little bit more, but essentially, Joe Burrow plays some of his best games against the Ravens. Oddly enough, Lamar Jackson plays some of his best games against the Bengals. I just don't know that we're going to see the same Lamar do it this game. And that's one of my biggest questions is how serious is this injury that Lamar has, because he doesn't look like the same player. I saw a couple times in the game against the Steelers where he made some runs that looked like he was perfectly fine, but that's all he did were just those couple plays. So if Lamar Jackson can't really give it his all, the Ravens are a damaged team. And especially like Thaddeus talked about earlier, they do not give Derrick Henry the ball enough. So those are two negatives there. I'm going to have to go with the Bengals this game. I think the Bengals, just like they did against the Ravens a couple weeks ago, I think they're going to win very impressively. I think one player to keep an eye out on this game is going to be Chase Brown. Chase Brown, not Jamar Chase, but Chase Brown has been a great overall running back this year, this last couple games. So give me the Bengals winning this game pretty easily. I'm going to go 32-17. Thaddeus.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. The Ravens are just they've been so frustrating this year because it's just like you have all this talent. It actually kind of feels like the Bengals are gonna play the Bills again. You know, the Bills just have a slightly better record. That's it. It kind of feels like these two teams are on the same side, different sides of the same coin because they both have good quarterbacks. Obviously, Josh Allen's playing at a much higher level than Lamar Jackson this year, but they both have bad defenses. Their offenses are very hot or cold. And the Bengals, they came really close to winning against the Bills, if not for two turnovers in a row, and one being returned for a defensive touchdown by the Bills. So I get the feeling that the Bengals are going to win this one because if they do, they still have a very small shot at winning the division. Both these teams do. So it's going to come down to that. Obviously, if Lamar Jackson, is back to his old self, then yeah, I would take the Ravens, but he's just been off the past month, and I just can't trust it. So give me the Bengals in this one, 35-24.
Ed?
So the last time that the Ravens has scored 30 points in the game, Cooper Rush was the quarterback. And that is not something that you typically say to a to a Lamar-led team. And it really, you had mentioned earlier, Thaddeus, about trying to force everybody to see Lamar Jackson as a passer. I think they've been pushing it more here with him coming back for him to be a passer, simply to get his rhythm in the pass game more so than anything else. I agree completely. They're not giving Derrick Henry the ball nearly enough. I mean, I come from an era of watching running backs be 21 to 27 carries a game, no matter what. Derrick Henry is that guy, and they're not using him like that guy. So you can't have the Lamar runs off of the power that Derrick Henry is playing with. And that just, once again, it looks very jumbled. It looks very confused offensively. And your two best catching receivers downfield are your tight ends. Zay Flowers, he's a great speed guy. I don't see him being like a true number one. So you're looking at a wide receiving core that is B minus at best, and that's just not going to cut it. So in a game like this, with Joe Burrow coming back, the way that he has over the last couple of games, they're going to score more than 30 points against this Ravens defense. That Ravens defense is not the same since Patrick Queen left. It's not. So give me the Bengals. I think this is going to be a truly fireworks type of game, because it can't really be one-sided with the Bengals because their defense is so trash. It's, but when it comes to the Bengals offense, I don't think there's a way that the Ravens will be able to stop the Bengals offense all day long. So give me the Bengals, because even though they're trash, I think the Bengals defense does come up with a turnover that's going to seal the game for them.
Makes sense. David, your thoughts, and really quick, it does look like you're on mute, so you may have to unmute yourself first.
Don't be distracted.
Don't crash.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, cool. So Joe Burrow is playing.
He is.
Then there you go. That's my answer. Because the Bengals are what their record says they are with Joe Burrow. And their record with Joe Burrow the last couple of years speaks for itself. So give me the Bengals to sweep the Ravens for the season, 33-24.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're kind of all in agreement there that there's going to be a lot of points being scored this game. So we're in agreement. So is that a clean sweep? Did we all pick the Bengals? So
Yep, clean sweep.
Well,
was there a game that you guys talked about that I missed?
No, we started off with the Chargers and Chiefs, so you're good there. You gave us your prediction there. So our last and final game. This game here is like, if you've ever been to a beach, you see seagulls fighting over trash. The seagull that wins, did they really win? They won a piece of trash. Well, that's the Vikings and the Cowboys this week. I mean, the losers eliminated. The winner, well, you didn't really win much, but congrats. So the Cowboys right now is in a very interesting situation, because just 2 weeks ago, I was on this show talking actually pretty good things about the Cowboys. I thought that they were actually going in the right direction. Things were looking good. I mean, CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens looked very unstoppable. Jake Ferguson, their tight end. I mean, things were looking great for the Dallas Cowboys. And then, in typical Dallas Cowboys fashion, that went away real quick. And you get to see the old George Pickens come out. And I love talking about this because I am a Steelers fan. But you see why the Steelers got rid of him. I'm not saying the Steelers are the best standard team in the NFL, but when you have a personality like that, but you have such a God-given talent like he does, he is such a talented wide receiver, your bad personality, unfortunately, is going to really take things away. So the Cowboys have their hands full with this, and you just don't know which version you're going to get from them. So it makes it tough. But on the other hand, the Vikings with JJ McCarthy are just abysmal. It's hard to watch. It really is. And they were so high on JJ McCarthy that uh, that's why they drafted him. I mean, they knew who they wanted. He was their guy, and I know it's hard to base it off of that because he's only played a couple games in his NFL career, but I just don't see a whole lot there. I don't really see any rhythm at all. So whereas with the Cowboys, I know it could be hit or miss. They have a little bit more rhythm than the Vikings do, in my opinion. So give me the Cowboys this game. Uh, they're going to put up some points. So I'm going to say 35-14 Cowboys. Ed?
Well, you say that this Vikings team has been abysmal. I'm just gonna recap to last week where they went 31-0 against the Commanders. JJ McCarthy, when he is comfortable, when he is given a little bit of space, a little bit of time, and can read the defenses after the play action pass, which he's still learning to do that at the NFL level, he can be dangerous. That being said, the Cowboys defensive line since the trade deadline, when they got those couple of defensive linemen, that's not going to give him enough time to do much of anything. And so I don't see JJ McCarthy progressing this week. In fact, I see him regressing this week. Uh, yes, he's going to have McCarthy's going to have a full complement of wide receivers to play. He's going to have pretty much a full complement of running backs to work with. It's just not gonna. He's just not gonna have the time to process and the speed that he can process at this point. So, I'm gonna go ahead and take the Cowboys. But the point, one of the points I want to bring up is the fact that this is going to be played in Dallas, and Dallas at home is a different thing than when they are on the road because they're, players like Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, they are going to funnel off of the home crowd more so than you're going to see them try and get themselves up when they're playing in Detroit, when they're getting smashed the way that they got last week.
Yeah, and Dallas has that weird home field advantage where they decide to pour the sunlight into the stadium to blind the opponents. So that's always fun.
Well, this being played on Sunday Night Football this is like Oscar the Grouch and his neighbor just getting after it.
I'm surprised the NFL didn't flex this one. David, how are you seeing the outcome of this game, Vikings and Cowboys?
I think the Cowboys are going to destroy the Vikings. Vikings are not a good team, and they have been terrible without Sam Darnold. This is a topic for another time, but I will just say for now that I don't think you can blame the Vikings for moving on from Sam Darnold, but we can get to that another time. But just for now, the Vikings are a bad team without Sam Darnold, and I think we're seeing the Cowboys, especially when the Cowboys have a legit shot to win the NFC East, and that's going to be in the back of their heads. I just have to believe that they're gonna come out full throttle. So give me the Cowboys over the Vikings 46-0. I think it's gonna be a blowout, shutout victory.
Yeah, and Thaddeus, I mean, we've talked about it already a little bit, but I mean, the receivers in this matchup it is crazy. I mean, the Vikings with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I mean, that is a great combination, but the CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens one is also who has the better game this game, though, between those duos?
The Cowboys. Yeah, I'm. It's gonna be Cowboys for all of us because yeah, the Vikings, yeah, they beat the Commanders 31-0, but the Commanders are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They are the oldest team in the NFL, and so it was no surprise that the Vikings won by as much they did. I think they were the first team to be shut out and then pitch a shutout the next week. So it was just like a fun little thing. But JJ McCarthy is still terrible. I just can't trust him at all. So yeah, just give me the Cowboys in this one. Yeah, like you said, at home they're crazy. The Cowboys are crazy good. So yeah, just give me the Cowboys in this one, 34-17.
Yeah, and really quick, the reason why I haven't really included Washington and part of the teams that have an identity crisis right now is because they've had their star quarterback injured. So it'd be kind of unfair, but they really aren't a good team right now either. But I'd be interested, though, to hear what others have to say.
As far as the Commanders, Debo Samuel's been out for a while. Zach Ertz just tore his Achilles, or was it an ACL?
ACL,
One
I
of
mean,
those two.
that was
Yeah.
brutal.
Ugh. And then Jaden Daniels is coming back from that grotesque dislocated elbow that he had a few weeks ago. That's your offense. So yeah, of course they're terrible this year.
Yeah, so that's why it's like there's an asterisk there. You can't really uh, put that on them. So, but yeah, I mean, those three games we could see knockouts for sure, and those are three of many. I mean, we're at that point in the year where we're going to see teams be eliminated from playoff contention, but not too often do we see a dynasty eliminated at this point. So with the Chiefs, it could be the end of the dynasty this week, with the Chargers putting the final nail in the coffin. So let us know in the comments below what your predictions are going to be this week. And do you see the Chiefs being knocked out finally? Bengals going to put up quite the test against the Ravens. Can they play spoiler there as well? So there's just many games. It's actually a really great week. If you look at the schedule, there is a great slate of games, but these are the three that we wanted to talk about. So, Thaddeus, before we hop off, how are our records looking?
So 3 had winning records. I was the one not to have a winning record, but that Ed went 3-0, undefeated, and then Matt and David went 2-1. I went 1-2. But that brings us. I'm still in first place at 26-18. Matt finally got over 500. He's 23-21, and then it's Ed at 19-25, and then David at 14-30.
Ed's going to try to do this late season run where he goes undefeated. I mean, last year, Ed went undefeated like 4 or 5 weeks in a row. It was annoying. I'm like, dude, come on. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like he was like Terry Rozier and had his, hand in the game or something. But yeah, so we'll see how this thing goes, guys. I mean, it's going to be a fun next couple weeks. Things could get a little bit more comfortable for some teams. Things can get a little bit more uncomfortable for some teams. But continue to hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. But until next time, guys, that's the final whistle. We're headed for the locker room.